goodness gracious.
We seemed really
You
intimidating.
think? That is a huge undertaking. I think you aced it. I like the fact that you used the pearl design over onto the shoulder. This is so very clever. Oh, goodness.
So you can have the veil separately and you can just wear the hat.
I thought that the idea that you did with the hat is quite ingenious. This is quite lovely.
So I am going to rip this up and repurpose it.
That was a lot of work. You may be able to once again use it with another design. Very happy to see this. Is this repurposed fabric?
Mm-hmm. So your design, it's definitely more of a classic white, and this is more of an ivory because I wanted to use repurposed fabric, and it's very difficult to find bridal fabric in really, really good condition without ripping up a wedding dress that someone could use for their own wedding, you know, because many brides go thrifting to look for their own wedding dress. So I don't like to rip up a brand new dress in perfect condition. So I found a lot of this fabric on a 1980s garment, and there was a lot of lace applique, and it was stained, and you know, a little, it was very trendy for the time, I'm sure, but probably not something someone would pick out today. So I took the satin, and there are still some stains on the satin, but overall, I think I was able to repurpose it really nicely, and I followed a 1950s pattern for the bodice, and then I made the skirt just kind of like all the other skirts that I make with the padding around the hips. I kind of make a bustle inside the design itself with crinoline and tulle.
Okay.
And then I did the little fluff piece on the
that
hip
I had put on the one side of the dress
with repurposed tulle. And all of the pearls are new. They're flat back pearls that I just got off of Amazon, and I just glued them on myself up to here. But everything else is completely repurposed. I've done a headband before,
right?
But I had never done a hat. So I was confused at where to start. I looked up a lot of different 1940s and 50s wedding headpieces, and I found a shell, like the formation.
I was going to say, were you able to locate some sort of shell for it?
I was going to thrift one, but once again, all the ones that I saw thrifting were really, really pretty. I didn't want to rip up or change because someone could use those. So I found a shell of one on Amazon, and it had a lot of bows and tulle on it. I didn't want that. So I took all those off with the scissors and a knife, kind of sat there.
Which I'm sure you put aside in case you could still use it for some other purpose.
And I put some of the tulle that matched here. I hand sewed layers of it onto the hat. I spun it around and sewed it, and then I added some of the pearls just by hand sewing, and the veil is actually a separate piece. So if someone wants to wear just the hat or just the veil, they can do that. So here, let me show you. So the way that this works is that this is actually a piece of a corset that I sewed into the veil. So if someone wanted to, they could take out the headband and take out the veil.
This is so very clever. Oh, goodness.
So you can have the veil separately, and you can just wear the hat if you would just like to wear the hat without the veil. So maybe for like a reception or something, someone would maybe not like to wear the veil. They could just wear the hat piece and take off the veil. So I thought that would be maybe a fun idea for brides if they're looking for something like that.
I'm sure that they would find that quite a clever idea. I thought that the idea that you did with the hat is quite ingenious.
I think that was pretty common at the time.
Yes.
Because I've seen a lot of your photos that you took sometimes of your friends at their weddings. And I saw a lot of hats like this. So I think that was maybe.
Even my own wedding, there was a very lightweight type of head covering, and then the veil was attached, of course. You couldn't detach it like you have figured out a way to do that, which is very interesting. But yes, that was somewhat common as one of the designs people could choose from.
In terms of social media, it's very popular nowadays to do what I did, which was take either your mom or your grandma's or maybe your aunt's or a female relative of yours wedding dress and revamp it a little bit, change it a little bit.
It is a combination of sentimentality and maybe that they see the value if they've gone looking for dresses and none of them inspire them quite the same way, and they think, wow, that's a huge expense nowadays. And they think of all of the expense for the entire wedding. I think a lot of things go into the thought process.
Definitely.
And so And of course, it is always lovely to hear a bride talking about the fact that something about the dress comes from another time, but a time that was very treasured by them. It had a lot of meaning to them. So, and I'm sure that if the grandparents are still living or the mothers are still with them, that's very touching.
The wedding dress that I wore was your wedding dress. And I did change it up a little bit, partially because when we went to go have it repaired, because it was discolored, the sleeves were damaged. So I had to remove the sleeves and do something else with it.
There were a number of years that were already on that dress, and it needed to have a little revamp. And I thought you did a very beautiful job of picking certain aspects of the dress.
You were much taller than I was, and you were thinner than I was. So that was a squeeze.
Well, but these are the things that have to come into, you know, consideration.
So in terms of this design, the changes that I made were solely to the neckline portion.
Yes.
Everything else I kept pretty authentic to the design to the best of my ability.
Right.
It's hard to do the hip, the little side puffs the way you have them, because they almost look triangular. So sometimes it's hard to translate that, but I tried my best on that. In terms of the neckline, I could not, I kept attempting and then ripping it up and attempting and ripping it up to get that envelope-y off the shoulder sort of look. So I ended up switching up what I did. I extended the pearls up this way, and I went for a lace, still full coverage up here, but I did change up that portion.
I think that the way you decided to do that actually enhances that design.
Thank you.
And I think when I see that you look at a design and see possibilities with a little different, I like that.
Thank you very much.
I like the way you're thinking about these things.
Thank you.
Because this is the creative end of it.